Well, good morning, everybody, whoever you are, from wherever you are from. My name's Nick Viney, and I am in charge of Thought for the Day for this week beginning the 12th of April. And I thought this time I would talk about a subject close to my heart, which is churches together. So the overall title of my thoughts is What's So Special About Churches Together? And I have to say that I am chairman of Churches Together in Swanage, so I have vested interest in these thoughts. So just to sort of explain how I think we'll go through the week, today I'm going to talk about my time in Devon, where I learned a lot about Churches Together, because Churches Together in Devon are special, as you'll hear in a minute. Tomorrow I will talk about Besom, which is a Churches Together project in Swanage. On Wednesday I'll talk about mental health, which is a problem I've had over the years, and we have a project in Swanage to try and help with that. On Thursday I'll talk about the Wave, which is another Churches Together project to do with children and young people. And on Friday I'll talk about the future and a project that's going on in Birmingham, which I think we might be able to copy in Swanage. So that's the programme. I hope you'll stay with me. I will understand if you don't. And we'll start off with Devon. So I was a farmer until 2001, didn't become a Christian until I was 38, which was in 1986. So for 15 years I was farming, and we attended various churches, mostly All Saints in Swanage. And I never really thought much about Churches Together. It was something that was a bit like a Christmas tree, you know, it was kind of brought out at Easter. And I can't even remember if we did anything at Christmas, Churches Together wise. I don't think we did. So I was focused on the church we went to, and I think probably most people are to this very day. However, in 2001, I stopped farming. I became extremely depressed, and I got a job as a sort of rural worker in Devon, working for the Diocese of Exeter, which is basically the Diocese of Devon. And my task was to help farmers with their mental health, which is quite ironic, because there I was, an ex-farmer with serious mental health problems myself. But you know, the blind lead the blind, don't they? So off I went to Devon, and 2001, you may not remember, but was the year of foot and mouth. So Devon in particular had a terrible time with foot and mouth. Many hundreds, thousands of cattle were burnt in huge funeral pyres across the county. Pigs also slaughtered in large numbers, and sheep. And Dorset, fortunately, just on the edge of it, and didn't really have any problems with foot and mouth apart from the restrictions at all. So when I arrived in Devon at the end of 2001, there was an atmosphere of sort of post-war wounds and pain everywhere I went in the farming community. And I remember one of the first meetings I went to was in a place called Hatherley, which was right in the epicenter of the whole foot and mouth outbreak. And I was invited to a meeting of church leaders there. And I felt really nervous, because I could only begin to imagine what they'd been through as church leaders during this previous year. And to my surprise, when I arrived, they were all laughing. And they spent most of the meeting laughing, pulling each other's leg, teasing each other, just banter. And they had had a terrible time, but it reminded me a little bit of my father's experience in the Second War, when he was in a squadron of a bomber squadron, and he had his crew that he was with, and there was a lot of humour, as they knocked about together in their spare time. And I think that is the way we humans deal with really serious situations where people are in pain and struggling. So that was a good lesson to me. Then, while I was in Devon, I got involved with a Christian charity called the Farm. It was called the Farm Crisis Network at that time. It's now called the Farming Community Network, FCN. Also Christians working together, Christian farmers mostly working together, regardless of denomination. Denominations weren't a factor at all. And really the only two organisations that came out with any credit in Devon during Foot and Mouth were the church and FCN. And together they organised an incredible telephone tree whereby every single farmer in Devon was rung up by somebody to find out how they were every week during the whole year. And I was very impressed by that. Then, later on in my time in Devon, I was invited to join in with the Devon County Show, where the Devon churches had a huge area given to them. They didn't have to pay for it, including an old barn and a courtyard. And about 10 or a dozen organisations, all Christian organisations, came to the show for the 3 days of the show and talked to the public about what they were doing. And they were looking for a secretary, and they said, "You can do that." And I remember one of the ministers saying to me, "Oh, by the way, we don't answer the phone, and we don't answer letters. You have to do everything by email." And I'd never actually sent an email in my life, so suddenly I had to do the whole thing by email. So it was a steep learning curve, but it was again a wonderful time seeing these ministers from different churches and different denominations working together for a common cause. And I learnt a lot about churches together from that experience as well. So when I finally got back to Dorset about 4 or 5 years later, I was much more interested in churches together here in Swanage than I had been when I left. Well, that's my Devon lesson, and that's my thought for today. Have a good day, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.